Dust has settled and we have another YCS in the books. Reminder here that our Black Friday sale will be wrapping up today. We have a couple of mats and a couple of other things still in stock. You'll be able to kind of take a look through here and see what items are still up. I've been doing some restocks kind of throughout the day on extra copies of things that I have found. But please do check this out. And also later today, Kongs will be doing a mystery pack. Discount code MCO40 will save you on your purchase for these. But these things have codes to be able to get things like Forbidden Crown. There's going to be some interesting little booster boxes you can get as well. And all of these are going to be 10-card packs. They're going to be all foil. So I'll leave a link down below. Remember, discount code MCO40 will save you on your purchase. So make sure you guys smash the link crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. Your breakdown for today's YCS is kind of interesting, honestly. You know, I talked about previously that we had noticed a little bit of a shift in the meta where things were finally starting to shift around, or at least we thought things were coming to a point where, you know, the meta would look a little bit more stable, and I think that's where we are right now. Certain things have pushed around, but I'll talk more about that here once we get through deck list. So we have 3 Yummy Mitsurugi variants within your top cut itself. I'm honestly kind of impressed to still see that, you know, Yummy Mitsu is absolutely turning into this dominating force and still continuing to punch the meta in the face. Like, it is a pretty straightforward and very, very strong challenger within the meta. We still had 2 Vanquish Soul Canines still doing very, very nicely. I think it's hilarious that, you know, we went from Vanquish Soul being one of the worst decks in the meta to suddenly, you know, this deck is back in full force. You know, people are absolutely flabbergasted by it. Why though? I don't get it. We also have Malice still kind of returning and doing very, very well. You know, we've lost so many Malice cards along the way that we still continue to see this deck doing absolutely wonderfully as time has progressed for the meta, and I think that's quite interesting. We do also have Yummy entering into the fray still. I mean, technically you had 4 Yummy variants within the top cut as you're looking for this. And also we have Crystron coming back into the spotlight yet again. It's kind of a shame that they lost against Yummy Mitsu in the finals, but you know, sometimes you just can't win them all. Sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh! Just happens, and it's just kind of, you know, a downside of the meta. So let's pass on over to the deck list we do have. All right, so our first deck list that we do have here out of Top Cut, it's going to be a lot of Yummy here. So from what we have seen, you know, you're cutting down to 2 Lollipop. This has been a pretty standard thing. I mean, this card just kind of seems like a dead draw a lot of the time. We've also got 2 Ghost Bell. I think Ghost Bell has been one of the greater helpers for this deck. It just actually helps you get some of your endgame pressure set up, and I think that the card, or just having the protection, is good. Also, droplets in the main deck, going with 2 of each of the field spells, going with the triple engage. I was reading today from some people they didn't necessarily like having 3 engage in the deck anymore, but I feel like you're just kind of hurting yourself if you're not necessarily maximizing on the best possible results you can have. Also, all the unfun good cards down here, continuing on with the terror that this deck produces, but absolutely a wonderful challenger within the meta. But don't worry, we've got even more. We have Yummy Mitsurugi. Now, this is the case of we are going to go ahead, we are going to put the Futsu into the deck, because Futsu's entire job is to pull out the Goonies here and kind of wall up every time your opponent starts to do the little interaction chain. Also fuels into extra bodies for the droplet if you really need it. I can't imagine that comes up all that much for the opportunities for the deck, but these are definitely going to be strong cards to help you out. We are also playing the Great Purification as a 1-of in the main deck. You also do once again see, hey, Double Cyclone is coming back into the spotlight here as one of those very, very strong cards to be able to, you know, kind of bypass the stupidness that is Draco Tail. I know, I love slamming this card down, being able to blow up my own card when they target it with Flame, and continue on along with my day. But outside of that, I mean, there's nothing really too exciting for this list. It's just Yummy Mitsurugi in its natural habitat. And then Oh boy, you see how similar that these lists tend to look here when we get the chance to actually look at them, because it's crazy to think about here. I know, right? Just jumping between the two, they're exactly the same except for the one minor change down there. Just kidding, they're both the exact same. In terms of what you're looking at within the course of the meta for these lists, I don't really think you have a reason to change what you're doing. You know, Yummy Mitsu has pretty much gotten a giant, threshold on the meta. Between this and a lot of the other challengers in the meta, you got a lot of things bouncing back and forth between the card choice options and so forth for this. So I'm not exactly surprised to still see, a list being able to be adapted exactly the same within the top cut and still being, the exact same and working. So where exactly do we go from here now that we are done with this block? Because now Phantom Revenge is going to be touching down here in the upcoming week. I gotta tell you right now, this meta has been interesting because we have really been going through the loop here. Because you guys remember when suddenly Draco Tail was the hottest thing that you could cook up, right? Yeah, I remember when Draco Tail was, a top challenging deck, smashing through these YCSs and catching people off guard. But you are actually in a pretty good example of a rotating format here, which, Draco Tail, Yummy, and Canine were kind of the revolving pieces. It's just, it took people to recently realize that, hey, Canine actually is really, really good against Draco Tail. So then you see this uptick in people actually looking at that as a challenger and going, okay, cool, so we can bring back in Canine cards. We can start to take care of all of the stupidness that is Draco Tail. And now Draco Tail is on the back end push out of the meta, with Yummy kind of coming back up on top. I mean, literally last week it was Vanquish Soul swings back in. This week we swing back in and Yummy. Over the next week or two, you'll probably see Draco Tail rotate back in. Until we see a ban list or we see an opportunity for Konami to pluck whatever is still running around within this format, I think this is where we're settling. I don't really think you're going to be getting much of a change from here. This is kind of where we talk about the drag effect on the meta, and, things kind of being the same for a little while. Now, with Phantom Revenge, I mean, I'll talk a little bit more about the meta. I do have like some cliff notes and stuff for another video that we've already filmed. We will kind of talk about Rogue and some of those things, but I mean, Rogue is still good right now. It's just like, you're not going to be winning events with Rogue. Fire King is still a decent deck, but it's just like, you're going to have to take a step back and you are really going to have to think about, the choices that you're going to be making with these decks. If your deck can honestly do well against Yummy, gosh darn it, you probably got a good chance to do well. But, my takeaway with all of this is, same shit, different day. There are changes that are happening within the tech space that is, allowing things to happen. But the next valuable thing that needs to happen is there needs to be a ban list to effectively shift the game around, because at this point, the drag is just too crazy. I mean, we also, good news is, for this meta, I mean, we're back in news cycle here in like, I think 6 days, we will resume, news. So there will be some exciting changes and some exciting things to happen. We also have Jump Festa coming down here at the end of the month. So we'll get the chance to kind of take a look at some of these full arts and things that are coming in the future. So, while it's, Yummy Mitsu, it's this purgatory that we're dragging through right now. If we're all just patient and we make it through to the end of December, I think good things will come. It's just, if you're looking to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Here, Konami, I know you just made an emergency ban list, but we really, really, really need to clean up some of these problems, and I think a lot of people agree. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Will ever truly be fixed, but it's just, I'd like a new flavor of something that's not, you know, the splashable, yummy Mitsurugi dump happening every single week. But hey, at least Crystron's trying to change things, and at least Dracotail's still in the back doing something. But please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and you guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons, thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.